So you've got excess body fat that you want to lose, and this can fundamentally only be for two reasons. Okay, reason number one is you're eating too much. You're in a caloric surplus, basically, right? You're eating more calories than your body is using, than your body needs. So therefore, you're storing those excess calories as fat. So that is what's happening with the excess fat. Well, reason number two is that you're not exercising or not exercising enough, okay? Those are the only two possible reasons why. And in fact, they're pretty much the same reason. Therefore, because of that, there's only two things that we can possibly do in order to lose that excess body fat and look like this. There's only two things you can do. And thing number one is eat less food. And thing number two is exercise more, burn more calories. Now, how do we do that in the best way possible is the question here. And yes, you can actually not train at all and still lose body fat. The best way to do this sustainably and systematically is by implementing food swaps. Okay, we have to think of this as, look, if you cut out your calories immediately and drop them by 1,000 and stop eating the foods that you love, what's going to happen is you're going to build a craving, and it's going to build to the point where you're going to get to a breaking point and you're going to lose all the progress that you've made because you're just going to crash and go back to the old diet and put on all that weight that you've lost. That's why I don't recommend just dropping the calories like this. Instead, look at the foods you're eating every day. Think about how you can swap them for higher satiety foods that are less calorie dense. This many grams of berries versus this many grams of donuts. You're eating the same weight of food, but the berries are taking up way less calories. What this means is with these food swaps, you can eat the same amount of food as you're eating before, but now you're eating less calories, which means you're gonna start to lose some weight. This is a great example of foods that you can swap. Please just screenshot this, I don't want to keep this on for too long. Another thing you can try is intermittent fasting. From 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. every single day that you're allowed to eat. So you can only eat within these hours. Naturally, you're going to lose weight because you're going to be eating less when you're fasting. The danger with this is that in those periods when you're not eating, you're going to build up a craving and it might lead you to overindulge in those 4 to 6 hours when you're allowed to eat. This really depends on the person. All of this depends on the person. I'm giving you information. You then decide what to do with it depending on your person. If you don't know what's best to do, and you really do want a systemized plan, by the way, click the first link in the description and we will help you out, like we did with Ken, like we did with Tom, like we did with Etienne, like we did with Clay, and I can go on and on, but I won't. Anyway, so the next part is moving more. You don't want to eat higher satiety foods. You want to keep your same diet, but you want to lose weight. How do you do this? Okay, you move more. Now, step one is we hit 10,000 steps per day. Basic checklist. First step, are you hitting 10,000 steps per day? If not, focus on that for 2 weeks. Do that every single day for 2 weeks. Build a habit. Make sure you're hitting 10,000 steps per day. Don't rush into anything. You have to ease your way into these things. You have to ease your way into these things, because if you rush, it's not going to be sustainable. You will crash. Are you then lifting weights 2 to 3 times per week? Basic lifts, okay? The squat, the bench press, shoulder press, the weighted pull-up, the pull-up. These things, you want to be lifting weight, doing strength training specifically 3 times per week. Why? Because when you do this and you're in a calorie surplus, as you currently are, because you're fat, you will be building some muscle. Now, what happens when you build muscle? Your metabolism basically speeds up. There's more of you. Your body needs more food in order to survive or keep its shape. Therefore, it's quite a good long-term solution to build muscle if you love eating, because it allows you to eat more while still being in shape and also getting really strong. So I'd really recommend doing that, okay? 2 to 3 times per week. Start with twice per week. Just do some basic strength training. Again, you don't know what to do exactly, click the link below, okay? We will help you out. Now you're at a stage where you're doing 10,000 steps per day and you're lifting weights twice per week. You're in a pretty comfortable state, okay? But you'll get to a point where you stop making progress, okay? You're not really losing fat. We want to implement some cardio. 20 minutes on the Stairmaster, 20-minute jog, twice per week. Now look, if you really don't want to cut your calories, you really don't want to stop eating, then you're going to have to do cardio. You're going to have to move more. One thing I'd really recommend is fasted cardio in the morning, because when you do fasted cardio, your body is immediately going to be using your energy stores, i.e. your fat, to fuel that cardio session. So that's perfect. That's what you want, right? You want your body to use that excess fat that you have on your body. If those two options don't sound good and you want to just drastically drop your calories, I mean, obviously, if you drastically drop your calories, yes, you will lose weight. What happens if you do it too drastically? Your metabolism will slow down, which means it's going to be harder to then lose more weight. It's going to be harder to make progress. It's not a sustainable thing to do in the long term. Remember that. Okay, so if you do want to just think, look, I'm going to lose belly fat, I'm just going to drop calories, do this by about 300 to 400 calories at a time, max. Do this until you stop losing weight. And then when you stop losing weight, you drop it by another 300. That's how you work it. Instead of just going, right, I'm gonna drop it by 1,000 calories. And if you don't wanna have to think about this or plan these things and just know exactly what to do today, book in a call with myself and my team and we will help you out. First link in the description.